Calling the meeting to order. Present, Maria Okpara, Rick Raleigh. Gary Arcee,
Here?
Amanda Buchanan,
Here.
Dennis Bender is absent. The following was posted on June 13, 2024 board agenda. Notice to the public, board member Rick Raleigh will participate via teleconference from 18190 O'Brien Mountain Road, Lakehead, California 96051. The teleconference location is open to the public during public session, and any member of the public has an opportunity to address the board from the teleconference location in the same manner as if that person attended the regular meeting. Mrs. Dupree, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Kylie, do we have any public comments pertaining to closed session?
We do not.
Mr. Raleigh, do we have any public comments pertaining to closed session from the teleconference location?
No, Madam President. Thank you.
Okay, since we have no cards for comment. Do we have cards for comment? No. For closed session, these were the items we will discuss in closed session today. Pupil personnel expulsion case, expulsion number 28, 23 to 24 through expulsion number 30, 23 to 24, and vacate expulsion case, expulsion number 23, 23 to 24. Conference on Litigation, Government Code Section 54956.9A, current litigation, 11 cases. CIVDS 19071722011183 and 2022956. CIVSB 2111-303, 222-0303, 221-8676, 222-7023, 2304865, 231407323, 22171, and 2412359. Government Code Section 54954.5, subsection C, and 54956.9, subsection D, and subsection D, and subsection E, and subsection 1. Anticipated litigation 1 case, 2020-2105. Public employee discipline, dismissal, release, reassignment, transfer, leave, title, certificated and classified employees. Number 4, public employee appointment, resignation, retirement, reduction, title, certificated and classified employees. Number 5, conference with labor negotiator, agency negotiator Dustin Conrad, employee organization Apple Valley Unified Teachers Association. Number 6, conference with labor negotiator, agency negotiator Dustin Conrad, employee organization California School Employees Association. Conference with real property negotiator, Government Code 51956.8, negotiating parties Matthew Schollenberg, Apple Valley Unified School. Number 8, security matters, Government Code Section 54957, consultation with Apple Valley Unified School District Chief of Police. I need a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We will take a vote via roll call because we have one in teleconference. I say aye. Mr. Raleigh?
Aye.
Mr. Arcee?
Aye.
Mrs. Buchanan?
Aye.
Mr. Bender is absent. We shall be back. Calling the meeting back to order. Roll call. Maria Okpara, I'm present. Rick Raleigh,
Here.
Gary Arcee,
Here.
Amanda Buchanan,
Here.
Dennis Bender is out. Lamarche Mosley, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
We're going to sing it. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here. Before we get started, I would like to say that the board appreciates and supports our educational partners' input at our meetings. Engagement by members of the public and civic matters is a cornerstone of our democracy. Everyone should have a chance to express their opinions within the guidelines the board has established for its meetings, so that we are able to conduct the meeting effectively and efficiently. During the meeting, there will be time for the public to comment on matter not on the agenda. In addition, members of the public may comment on specific agenda items after I, as your board president, ask for public comments on an item. Until it is your turn to speak, or if you are here to observe the meeting, please refrain from any behavior that prevents others from participating in the meeting or that disrupts the board's ability to conduct the business of the board. Once again, thank you very much for taking your time to join us this evening and to be a participant in this duty of serving our students and our educational community. Time for board comments. Mr. Bender is absent. Amanda Buchanan, do you have a comment?
Sure. I just wanted to wish everybody a relaxing and safe summer. If you do choose to do anything like, I don't know, water sports or hiking or biking, please just use the proper safety equipment and come back to us safely at the end of the summer, because we don't want to lose any of our Apple Valley family. Just enjoy your summer and get lots of rest and come back to us at the end of summer.
Thank you. Mr. Arcee, do you have a comment?
I'd just like to echo those same comments. Just thank you for all of the teachers for all of their hard work and sacrifices today. Or I should say this entire school year on behalf of our students. And thank you, students, for participating in the educational process and working so hard. And please, for all of our staff and students, please have a very restful and safe summer. And we look forward to seeing you again in the fall, where I know next year is going to be even better than this year.
Thank you so much. Mr. Raleigh, do you have a comment?
Sure. Yeah, I just want to echo that it was a great year, and looking forward to another successful year beginning in August. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, my comment, I actually chose to ask Mrs. Mosley to say the Pledge of Allegiance. When I started out in this district, she was my support person as a teacher, and to see her on this last event of her being a teacher in Apple Valley gives me great warmth in my heart. And I wanted to take the opportunity to thank you for your years of service in Apple Valley School District. And today as well, one of my favorite PE teachers, Miss Hope. For the longest time, I used to call her Hopeless. And today she is also leaving us with Bruce. But I thank all of you this school year, and we hope for a better year. Every year has to be better than the previous year. So we do have earnestly hope you will have a wonderful school vacation. And who knows what we're going to get next year. But this year, we're just happy that you were in it. Thank you so much. Mrs. Nelson.
I am thrilled that our staff, for the most part, with the exception of those that are working summer school, are off and getting to relax. All of you retirees in the audience, Lamarche, Hope, and Sherry, my heart goes out to the years of service in this district. And I can't imagine walking on to Rio Vista's campus and not seeing you, Sherry, to Vanguard and seeing you, Hope, out in the fields with the kids, and Lamarche just at Granite. Like, you're always there. You've been there. And to not see you guys is a change and another chapter opening a door for you. And I hope that you do exactly what you choose to do in retirement. And thank you for the service. For the board members, many of you are aware of Assembly Bill 2158, which was signed into law in September of 2022. This is about ethics training and the requirement as of January 1st, 2025, that every board member that is serving in 2025 that was elected on or after September of, or in the year of 2022 served, is required to do ethics training every 2 years. California School Boards Association, although we're registered for it for the AEC, the Annual Education Conference, they'll have a couple sessions on ethics training. The issue is likely not every board member will be able to get into it. I did reach out to the superintendents in the high desert. Kylie will be reaching out to California School Boards Association and seeing if there's a possibility for them to do a local training that we could host here in Apple Valley and allow other board members from other districts to participate as well. That way we know we can get it done, and that would open up your time at CSBA to participate in other things that you would be interested in doing. So I just wanted to share that information with you.
Thank you. Union representative, is anybody from CS here?
No,
Is anybody here from AVUTA?
no.
Okay, now I will read. I'll read the board report from closed session. On a motion by RC and seconded by Buchanan, the Board of Trustees approved the following. Approved the separation agreement between the Apple Valley Unified School District and employee number 8049 on a vote of 4-0 with one absent board member. You need to do individual vote again.
I would, just so that you
And so I'm going to do a roll call vote one more time.
just the readout of it.
The readout. Maria Okpara, aye. Rick Raleigh, aye. Gary R.C., aye. And Amanda Buchanan, aye. The board may approve the agenda as is or add and or pull items from the consent agenda for discussion and or action. I propose to add the following item to today's agenda pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.2 because there is a need for immediate action that arose after today's agenda was prepared. This item is available in the back of the room. It is at each board member's seat and has been provided to the teleconference location. To add this item to the agenda, a 2/3 vote of the board is required. If less than 2/3 of the members are present, the vote must be unanimous. Board action to add the approval of Proposition 28, Arts and Music in Schools Funding Annual Report Fiscal Year 2023-2024. Can I get a
You proposed it. You're looking for a second.
can I get a second?
Do we need a second on discussion?
Yes.
Yes, and to add it to the agenda.
Okay, I'll second it.
Okay. Now we'll be taking a roll call vote.
Wait.
Well, discussion. Go ahead, and Pat has something to share and why this got added.
Well, when did this get added?
Just this morning.
This morning, yesterday afternoon, we had staff member participating in a state webinar regarding Prop 28 for next year. And they also made mention to this year's Prop 28 annual report, a backwards-looking report. No one on the webinar had heard of it. We did some immediate checking and found that it had gone into the spam folder for almost everyone across the state. And so we found the report and
immediately got information on how to fill out this document, and it has to be sent to the board and approved by July 30. And since we just don't happen to have a meeting prior to July 30,
It's July, is it July 30th or July 1st? I feel like,
I
Pat,
believe it has to be submitted by July 1st to the CBO.
got it, July 1st, June
And it has
30.
to have board action prior to submitting.
Yeah,
I mean, even if we had it 6 hours ago, so we could have looked it over before.
I can just give a little bit of background on what it is.
Okay.
Essentially is this tells the board what we did regarding arts, music in schools for the year that's just finished. So this money came late, as you remember. It looks like this document here, yeah, you have it. And so it came late in this year. And so at if we start at the very back, you'll see what we have to write, a short narrative and then the number of positions, teachers, other personnel, et cetera. We have very little expenditure in this area for the fiscal year that's just now ending. And so we took this information, got some information from the state about exactly what they're looking for. And so then the second page of this narrative shows the numbers we will be placing into those boxes, mostly ones and zeros. Because most of what we did this year was already funded with other LCAP funding, but there was a school that got going on some Prop 28 funded positions earlier, and that was Sycamore Rocks. So that's a short synopsis of what this was. We had no idea this was required till yesterday. We got it together this morning and got it, just kind of to you just now. So we will not, this of course will be calendared in part of our regular process now that we know that it exists.
and I did ask what the consequence of not turning this in on time is, and it would be an audit finding. And so for us, since there isn't a lot of data and the reporting shows for the public that, and we can post it to our website so that they can see it as well. Number, like Pat mentioned, number of full-time equivalent teachers certificated, 1. Number of full-time equivalent personnel classified, 0. Number of full-time equivalent teaching aides, 0. Number of students served, 707 because of Sycamore Rocks. Number of sites providing arts education, 1.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there a fiscal impact to us approving this?
No fiscal impact as far as all it is a good faith representation of what we did with arts, music, and schools money last year. Yeah, thank you for that question. I should have mentioned that. Also, I think the only fiscal impact might be not doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm okay. I don't have any other questions.
Okay, we will be taking a roll call vote. Mrs. Okpara is aye. Mr. Raleigh,
Aye.
Mr. Arce,
Aye.
Mrs. Buchanan,
Aye.
Mr. Bender is absent. Now we're going to go to recognition. Dustin Conrad, recognition of retirement. We won as well.
Now it's on. Thank you. Thank you. Conference room A. Sorry, getting caught up with tech here. And okay, thank you. So the board will remember a couple board meetings ago, we had our big retiree recognition time, where many of our retirees that were leaving us this year, said their farewells and got their recognition. But since that time, between then and now, we've had about 10 others that said, you know what, it's my turn to celebrate the next chapter of my life. And so being the last meeting that we have together, Zoe did and Jordan did reach out again to those individuals and say, we got one more shot to bring you forward to the board to be recognized. So that's what we're here to do today. And I know, I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again for the retirees that are here, that the trophy you'll receive today really is one that I personally enjoy, and I think it's the most valuable. I know some of you have been in here, one of you, 38 years. So you've gotten almost every apple we've produced, over time for your 25th year and your 30th year and your 35th year. And what we have for our retirees is an apple that is actually made by students. So it's not something we buy from a trophy shop. It's a culmination of efforts between Casey Penfold and his welding students out at Apple Valley High School, who will plasma cut the apple. We got Josh Reese and his construction technology, who produced the base of this apple. We work with some of our CTE industry partners to get it powder coated and the emblem put on. And what you'll see is it resembles the apples that are at the entry and exit of the the Yucca Bridge here in Apple Valley. There's these beautiful apples. This is a much smaller version of it, but it is such, I long for the day to have one. I hope I make it to retirement and be able to, take one of those myself. But this year is the first time I've said this every time. I've talked about this trophy every time I presented these. And this is the first year where now somebody's informally given a name. We did have one of the retirees that wasn't able to attend call my office a couple weeks ago and say, "Hey, how do I come and get my bridge apple?" And I'm like, well, I never thought about calling it the bridge apple. But for those of you that don't receive one, you'll think about it every time you go over that Yucca Bridge. And now that I've pointed it out, you'll see it every time too. So like before, I know there's 10 people that we reached out to. I see 1, 2, 3, 4 of them made it. So they're shy people, and some shared information. Some I get to make it up for. And if I'm accurate, great. And if not, then you just got to live with it, hope. And the story will go as is. But I'd like to start by bringing our first retiree up, and that's Miss Sherry. Come on. 25 years, paraeducator at Rio Vista. No, not at all. Most significant accomplishment, she reflected on all her impact, and seeing kids learn and recognizing how they can make it fun. It doesn't have to be a pain in the butt to be at school. You can make an enjoyable process. She enjoys being part of former students' graduations and parties, and parents honestly recognizing the true hard work that goes all behind the scenes and giving her that recognition. So congratulations. Plans after retirement. And this one, I think it was Miss Thorne in the first one, is going on a quilting cruise. So you might find her. There's cruise ships I learned that actually have this as a part of the party, I guess. But completing quilts and walking dogs, it seems like some very calming behaviors there. And looking forward to becoming a grandma and taking care of grandchildren. What a beautiful part of life. Yes, congratulations. Next up, Miss Cora, you're kind of hiding there, and I know when Trinae was reading the room, just yeah, that's what I said. I'm like you're right in that mystery look. You can't see but just like you in your profession, you're behind the scenes. Come on up here, behind the scenes. Yeah. Keeping Vanguard operating, functioning. I've learned a little bit, it's the quiet ones they say you got to watch. And based on your funny memories here, I'm thinking I'm reading into what you call decorating might be a little bit of pranking or having some fun behind the scenes. So she says the list is a mile long. I know we've seen you in our meetings before, and you got to share with us some of the frustrations that a lot of people behind the scenes deal with. And I remember you bringing us quite a bit of robotics gear and things like that people just take for granted. And had you not been there, to help people out, Vanguard would not be the same. So we thank you for that. Your immediate plans, still working. You're going to be finishing projects around the house, but you do have vacation with grandkids planned. So we're hopeful that can happen. And I love what you say down here, going places and staying longer. I you think about that, and I long for that retirement where you get to go somewhere, and when you got to be back, that's up to you. There is nothing to be back for. There is, if it's today Sunday or Wednesday, I don't care. It's all the same to me. So congratulations, Cora. I know we're going to miss you. Oh, good, good. It is nerve wracking. Getting up and standing behind this thing is nerve wracking. Kylie called me out last time, thought I was going to go down because I was shaking up here, but I'm trying to be calm now. Doesn't work too well for me. Oh, let's let her finish, then I'll go to the next one. Yeah, she was. All right. Next up, Miss LaMarche Mosley, 38 years. It says Granite Hills, but we all know Granite Hills. I've been here 38 years. So you spent some time, Vista. Yes, yes. And you gave us quite a bit, and a lot that's very inspiring, very moving. And the slide is up there for folks to read. But I see the theme of what I read through your most significant accomplishments is recognizing need, void, or underrepresentation, and finding ways to capture that and bring people to that light. And that's something that is just beyond commendable. And I think it sums it up at the end here when you talk about your plans after retirement. But I'm going to go to your next slide first. You pull from here some of the ups and downs of being a teacher and things that I think a lot of young people don't recognize when they come into education. And it is wisdom that says, there's going to be things that you'll remember that you didn't plan on walking into, but you learn from it, you endure it, and you lead others through it. And I commend the way that you capture that in your poignant memories here. And you speak about Chelsea, teaching Chelsea for 2 years, and how you as a teacher became the student. You got to learn a lot from a child that you were charged with educating, but yet you as an adult and human being learn from them. And all those experiences, I think, lead to your plans after retirement. With your tenure like yours, I'm being HRPC here, with the experience you have becomes wisdom, right? And recognizing that you had plans, you probably had your plans going this way, and your plans, the pieces just didn't seem to fit according to your plans, but yet there was a greater design for you. And for you, I love your sentence here where you say, your plan finally is to leave the pen in his hand and let him do the planning. And I just commend you for that outlook. I look forward to hearing what that means to you, and as you continue your walk, honoring your calling. So congratulations. Mhm. 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 All right. Next up, now this is where I get to make things up because Zoe didn't get any information. I didn't get to, yeah. But Miss Young, 28 years in PE at Vanguard. What other schools? Apple Middle, right here. And 1 year at Phoenix. So now that I don't have anything to read, it's nice because I get to pass the mic. One funny memory that you're willing to admit to? Funny memory. Well, put you. Oh, I. That's right. She failed me. I got an F. This was pre-COVID when you actually had to show up to school to pass, and I did not show up. I thought, okay, I forgot all about that. I didn't go on academic probation, but I can find the transcript. I definitely have an F at Victor Valley College in PE because I didn't show up. It was, please tell me, it had nothing to do with skill set. Like I failed because of attendance, but I was way beyond the ability of any tennis player. Not. Thank God for pickleball. Congratulations. What are your plans? Travel. Grandkids, family, travel. I think that's the trifecta right there. So beautiful. Congratulations. And yeah, I don't know if I'll be admitted back into the class, but yeah. Don't. Oh yeah, that was a while back. I don't. That was a rough time. I think I had a class from Bradford Smith too at that same time, and I registered, never dropped, and failed. Yeah, that's true. I think that's everybody here. Yes. Well, before we do that, if I can just, we've had 4 people called up. I do just want to read the other names and briefly state, who else that we can say our distant farewells to. But we had Greg Pasquale retiring to us out at Apple Valley High School. I know I've crossed paths with him at the business office, and he's just, what are you doing now? He's like, I have no idea. I probably just do stuff at home, no plan, but that's Greg. So that's what he enjoyed the fact when somebody asked him how you grow spaghetti. Yvonne Angel, 12 years, a fellow paraeducator over at Rio Vista. Steve Lohmeyer, another teacher at Granite Hills High School, longtime teacher, not as long as you, but he was close, 36 years, working most recently in the continuation program there at Granite Hills High School. Elizabeth Orell from Phoenix Academy, which is just 1 year with us, but did that as their swan song heading out into retirement. And Carrie Rosa, our M&O, he's a plumber for us for several years and is now retired as well. And Julie Yackey, another Granite Hills clerical support. We all know those are the secret weapons behind the scene that actually run the entire school. So Julie, I know will be missed over there as well from Adam and his team. And that board and attendees is the extent of our retirees over the last month. So congratulations. And if everybody could join the board for a photo, Zoe, I'll hand it over to you to do your.
Discussion information, Desert Mountain SELPA Special Ed Local Plan Update 2024-2025 school year. Mrs. Nelson.
It's just there for the review of the board. As you know, there is a JPA that each superintendent sits as a JPA board member, but we always want to bring these forward so that you have the information that was approved at the last JPA meeting regarding the local plan. And so it is contained in the board report and will be for all of the school districts that have a seat at that JPA.
Thank you. Local indicator presentation by Mr. Schlosser.
Is yours as quick as hers?
Not, well, let's see. Ready? Start a timer. Not quite, but nearly. This is the annual representation of the local indicators that must accompany the board adoption or the LCAP when it is presented for board adoption. And so this is just a couple of quick reminders about how this works, and then the report on this year's priority indicators. Just a reminder that we're always in this LCAP process. I did have to adjust this slide this year, thankfully, because we often are quite a ways away from approval from the county, but our county reviewer this year has been in constant communication, and we feel like we're close to an approvable county document. And so once the board takes action and we send that document to the county for approval, we are anticipating quite a quick turnaround and no changes that require board action. So that's good news. And then of course, we'll go right back into monitoring. So the big ideas for today really is this idea that the local indicators are essentially a requirement for us to report where we are on certain items. And so what the process is how you meet the indicator. You don't have to hit a certain mark on any of these. You just must report them. And so by going through this process and being transparent to the public, we will meet all indicators, and I'll go through them one by one. The 5 indicators are essentially in those main priority areas. There are 8 total priority areas, but these are the 5. The basic conditions priorities has 1 item, and so on, as you see there. And so it does not apply to the schools. It applies to districts. So that these are district-wide indicators. For priority 1, this is about the percentage of teacher misassignment. It is, if you remember last year, I also reported on 21-22. The state changed how this indicator is to be reported. They now point us to the DataQuest website that is public facing at the California Department of Education. And so this is taken straight from DataQuest. This is what the public will see. It's going to match what's on the SARC. And no longer do we have to go through our own database and try to anticipate exactly which teachers the state would consider in every category. We simply take the data straight from them, which is good. The bad thing about it is it's so old. So you see, this is from several school years ago. Next year, I'll be reporting in June of 25, I'll be talking to you about the 22-23 school year. And that's just how long this data lags. I can tell you the HR department is far faster on this. They're right on top of it. And so these numbers are going to come up every year that we report them to you. So at the moment, it reports as 74.8% had a clear credential again in that 21-22 school year, a year that was, remember, right after a large number of folks retired. And then there was a larger category that includes out of field, incomplete, or ineffective. And I'll just mention that ineffective is a terrible term. It has nothing to do with teacher efficacy. It's a state technical term that has to do with credential status only. There's no measure on their impact on students. I wanted to show you just a quick snapshot of exactly what that looks like on the CDE webpage. It's just, it's like any other CDE indicator, like the graduation rate or anything like that. And so there again, you see that 74.8% clear and the out of field ineffective 15.2 and so on. I can tell you those numbers will look a lot better for 22-23, but I can't wait to report this year, which of course you'll see 2 years from now. So that's how we meet indicator 1, basic conditions. Also in priority 1, this the other component of that has to do with access to textbooks. Our students all have access to a current adopted and aligned textbook. And also we must report the number of identified instances where facilities do not meet good repair. We had 1, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Schulenberg just briefly so he can explain what that very minor one was and how it qualified.
Thank you, Mr. Schlosser. We did have one school that when our third-party consultant visits our campuses for our the FIT report, the facility inspection tool, we did have some exposed low voltage. It was computer cable that was exposed. And it's supposed to be covered. So that was a deficiency that caused that particular school to score in the fair category. We have sense that problem was addressed right away and it was remedied.
Thank you.
And so we monitor those third-party fit reports, and we hold ourselves to a very high standard there. And so we have met that category there. Priority 2 has to do with implementation of the state academic standards. We do a self-assessment. We use option 2 there. Option 1 has to do with a long narrative. Option 2 is essentially a place where we can fill out by subject where we are as far as implementation. And we'll just note here that we do have a couple areas where we know this state has adopted a new framework in mathematics. And so we'll start with high school math, who is in need of a new adoption. They now finally have items to choose from. The state was long delayed in actually getting that framework, through the approval process, and now to publishers to create new materials. Materials are in the process, so we will have committees starting in the fall, gathering to review standards, set up criteria, take a look at what's available, pick a couple for pilot, and go through that process, and then K-8 will follow. And these are expenditures, by the way, to purchase these materials that are budgeted and set aside for just that reason. We will also be continuing, now that we have sufficient substitute teachers, we will be reinstituting grade level days for teachers to come together to review their standards. We know that's been a while since they've been able to do that, and we look forward to doing that as well. Parent input is priority 3, and it's going to overlap a little bit with some of the other indicators, but I wanted to make sure that, first of all, face-to-face input, happens at each site through their school site councils. We have district advisory level parent groups, and of course, our district English language advisory committee. Those representatives are always present, and all those groups are invited to be participants in our district advisory committee, which has grown this year. It's been nice to see. Further, we do use the Youth Truth Survey. This gets us a chance to hear from a lot more people in survey format. And of course, there's open-ended response as well. And so you'll see that for the last year, we still got a good number of student responses, but our number of family responses, although still just over that 10% mark that we shoot for, we'd really love to see more like 20%. And so it was down a little this year, and we'd like to see that go up. And we'll be working hard to gather more family surveys. And then the staff survey had a really good response. And the survey categories, remember, have to do with things like engagement, relationships, culture, belonging. We've picked a couple of specific questions from families that we're going to really carefully monitor that have to do with their sense of connection and whether or not they feel welcome at school. We thought those were important measures to focus on and report to you so that we were making sure families felt connected. And so that meets our by doing those surveys and reporting that data through the district advisory committee and to you, that meets the parental input metric. Priority 6, school climate, also somewhat related. We do have to administer a student survey. You'll remember also there were some updates to the board policy that now requires student advisories. Some districts were just unsure just exactly how they were going to do that. We were so thankful that we have a strong tradition of doing student advisories in our district and hearing directly from students in the room for multiple times. It's a real strength here. And so that requirement was an easy one for us to meet. We do share that student advisory or that student survey data out both to students and across the sites. And that meets the school climate indicator, the survey. Some schools use the California Healthy Kids Survey. They call it CHICS, California Healthy Kids. We do not. We use Youth Truth, and it's intentional. It's a different survey. It's nationally normed, but also it avoids some areas that we just felt we're much more comfortable using this survey. And then a broad courses study is the final indicator of the 5. And this one really is about at the elementary school, there isn't a lot of choice as far as options for course of study, but there is a requirement that we provide interventions when needed. And at the high school level, it really is about making sure that we're tracking students' transcripts. As they move through, if they're on track, if they're not on track, is someone checking in to make sure that they have an opportunity to remediate and take courses again in the summer or in the after-school setting. Or if there's courses they want to try, we have a very open policy with students as far as their opportunity to take courses. And this is also things like the AVID program, which is super important for students who might not even know exactly how to navigate their way to college because they're the first in their family to do so. And so with that priority indicator is met by virtue of those kinds of actions and activities. And so we will report that we've met all 5 indicators. Again, not because we hit a certain target, but because we are monitoring those 5 areas with great care. And so I'll pause there for questions, but I think I went longer than Trinae.
I have a question.
Yep.
I have several questions,
Okay.
obviously. My first question was an adoption of the new math textbooks.
Yeah.
I understand that we are going to be getting the math textbooks. But the question I have is how robust is the training that the teachers will get in order to implement those math standards
Yeah.
once we get it?
Yeah, that's a good question. And that will be part of the adoption rubric, because what we want to see is what is offered by each publisher or what can we supplement? We've got some great in-house folks. We've got a teacher who works for UCLA, the Curtis Center for the Teaching of Mathematics, who can supplement our training. But that will be one of the areas they will consider when the adoption process comes. Not only what is the materials, but what training exists to support teachers to be able to use them. And so I'll report that to you as we get closer to that spot. But I appreciate you bringing that up. We'll be watching for that.
Okay. My next question has to do with priority 3.
Yep.
Priority three, you said, has to do with parental input. And in light of the fact that we just completed our initial conversation on ethnic studies,
Yeah.
and I see that you have a representation for the DLAC. I'm just wondering if there will be a very specific, intentional representation for the African American parents to also have their own representative committee, so that they can discuss the issues that affect their population. Because
Absolutely.
based on what we have as a district, we have done the DLAC, and it shows on our test when we look at our performance indicators, it has shown that has really changed the trajectory of the district. But when you look at that group of students, the African American students, their numbers do not match. So we have to be intentional on how we set that up to be able to capture those students and bring them back to meet the standards for English and math. Because I'm looking at the 2023 and we didn't do well either. So we've got to find a different way of doing business.
Yeah, so yes, the district African American Parent Advisory Committee sequence will continue and will continue to grow at the school site level as well.
Okay.
We've got some great folks lined up that were by request of that group to continue. And that is part of the parental input. You're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions from trustee? Okay.
Thank you.
Kylie, do we have any public comments?
We do not.
Mr. Raleigh, do we have any public comments from your teleconference location?
No, Madam President, no.
Okay. Board comments. Amanda Buchanan.
I just wanted to add, in regards to the 2158, when I was at our delegate convention or delegate assembly, CSBA was talking about how they're expecting to have multiple trainings for the ethnics training throughout the upcoming year, especially because they did recognize that having the ethics training before AEC is going to be hard, because you'll probably be at the president's training, so you won't be able to attend it. I won't be able to attend it because I'll be in the delegates meeting. And so they wanted to have it offered at other opportunities, but that would be fantastic if we could bring it here and make all of the high desert come to us. I like that. So awesome.
Mr. Arce?
No further comment.
Mr. Raleigh?
Nothing further, thank you.
I have nothing further to say. Mrs. Nelson, please.
Nothing, thank you.
Okay. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees discuss and take action on the following items. Approve the following amendment to the contract for employment of the superintendent. Contract number 1 Section 1, offer the effective dates of the contract will change as follows. From July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2026 to July 1, 2024 through June 30, 2028. I need a motion.
So moved.
I need a second.
I'll second the motion. I'm sorry, I
Go
was
ahead.
on mute. I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? Right. No discussion.
I just want to make one comment. I think that Janae has done a good job for the district. We put a lot of time and effort into an evaluation that we recently finished, and I think that we owe her a contract extension for her position.
Thank you. Any other discussion? I figured that since we have changed our evaluation process for the superintendent, we will need to give her enough time to reach those expectations that we have in place for the superintendent. So because of it, I think giving her that time to meet the expectations we have for her will be appropriate. And I'll take a vote. Okpara is an aye. Mr. Raleigh?
Aye.
Mr. Arce?
Aye.
Mrs. Buchanan?
Aye.
Mr. Bender is out. Is absent, he's not out. Approve the certificated and classified personnel actions as listed. I need a motion.
So moved.
I'll second it. Any discussion? Okay, we'll take a vote via roll call. Mrs. Okpara is aye. Mr. Raleigh?
Aye.
Mr. Arce?
Aye.
Mrs. Buchanan?
Aye.
Mr. Bender, absent. Adopt the local accountability plan for 2024-2024. I need a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion? We'll be taking a vote via roll call. Ms. Okpara, aye. Mr. Raleigh?
Aye.
Mr. Arce?
Aye.
Mrs. Buchanan?
Aye.
Mr. Bender, absent. Approve the recommendation of the administrative chairperson effective immediately. Expulsion number 28. Before we go further, I need to read addition to that. Rehabilitation plan should include item number 9. The student shall reimburse the school district for the cost of the damage done in the incident. Now I need a motion.
So moved.
I'll second. Any discussion? We'll take a vote via roll call. Okpara, aye. Raleigh?
Aye.
Arce?
Aye.
Buchanan?
Aye.
Bender, absent. Expulsion case 29 and 30. I need a motion.
I'll move it.
I'll second. Any discussion? We'll be taking a vote via roll call. Okpara? Aye. Raleigh?
Aye.
Arce?
Aye.
Buchanan?
Aye.
Bender is absent.
Do,
Item number 23. Did you have something to say? Item number 23, vacate expulsion case 23. I need a motion.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
point of order. Did we do 29 and 30 together?
Yes.
You can do that.
If there were no changes.
I don't believe we wanted to do that.
Okay.
Was there a reason why?
There was a reason. I believe we were gonna take 30 separately.
Okay. I was not there for the hearing.
Well, but my understanding was that you did not want to participate.
That would be,
That's, I was,
correct.
yes.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
Yeah, that's
so you
right.
need to amend.
I will amend Item 29. Thank you, thank you for that. Item 29,
So can we take that vote as 29?
yeah, that vote as 29.
And then we need to move on number 30
And
by
number
itself.
30, I will,
So,
So-
well, do you want me just to read it?
yes.
Okay, so approve the recommendation of the administrative hearing chairperson effective immediately on expulsion case EXP number 30, 2023-24. And we need a motion.
So moved.
And can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. And so we will be taking a vote via roll call. Ms. Akpara,
Abstain.
Mr. Raleigh,
Aye.
Mr. Arcee,
Aye.
Mrs. Buchanan, aye, and Mr. Bender, absent.
But thank you.
Okay.
And then and I have to explain why I
Yes,
abstained.
under an abstention, the board member has to explain
Okay.
why they're abstaining, just
So
a basic
I'll turn that
statement.
over really quick.
Sorry.
Yeah, I am abstaining because the student in question, there's a question about possibility of knowing who I am, and I need to exclude myself so that my name, it does not appear as if I am giving a special favor. Okay. Expulsion, vacate expulsion case number 23. I need a motion.
You had a motion by Gary Arcee and a second by Rick Raleigh.
Okay. And we'll be taking a vote via roll call. Thank you. Opara is aye. Raleigh,
Aye.
Arcee,
Aye.
Buchanan,
Aye.
Bender is absent. Adopt the 2024-2025 proposed budget. I need a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call. Opara, aye. Raleigh,
Aye.
Arcee,
Aye.
Buchanan,
Aye.
Bender, absent. Adopt Resolution 2324-28 and approve the grant agreement for the California Schools Healthy Air Plumbing and Efficiency CalShape Plumbing Program. I need a motion.
So moved.
I'll
Um,
second.
I'll second it.
Okay, good. Any discussion? Roll call. Opara, aye. Raleigh,
Aye.
Arcee,
Aye.
Buchanan,
Aye.
Bender absent. Adopt Resolution 2324 to 229 and approve the grant agreement for the Healthy School, Healthy Air, Plumbing and Efficiency CalShape Ventilation Program. I need a motion. I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call. Opara, aye. Raleigh,
Aye.
Arcee,
Aye.
Buchanan,
Aye.
Bender absent. Approve the amendment to the agreement with SGH Architecture for the Granite Hill School Athletic Facility Project. I need a motion.
So moved.
I'll second. Any discussion? Roll call. Opara, aye. Raleigh,
Aye.
Arcee,
Aye.
Buchanan,
Aye.
Bender absent. Approve the Proposition 28 Arts and Music in Schools Funding Annual Report Fiscal Year 2023-2024. I need a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Opara, aye. Raleigh,
Aye.
Arcee,
Aye.
Buchanan,
Aye.
Bender, absent. Consent agenda. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees consider approving a number of agenda items as a consent list. Consent items are routine in nature and can be enacted in one motion without further discussion. This procedure conserves meeting time for a full discussion of significant issues. Consent items to be approved in one motion is 1 through 14. I need a motion.
So moved.
I'll move it. Second.
Okay, we'll be taking a vote. Okpara, aye. Raleigh, aye.
Aye.
You made it all the way.
RC,
Aye.
Buchanan,
Aye.
Bender, absent.
So you're voting for me now, huh, Maria?
Okay, we don't need to go into closed session. For future items, do any members of the board have any future items? Mr. RC?
No.
Mrs. Nelson, Trustee Buchanan contacted me regarding policy and board member absences. You told me it was Board Bylaw 9250. Can you share what you have learned about our practices so that we can make sure we rectify it?
Yeah, board bylaw 9250 is remuneration, reimbursement, and other benefits. And it addresses and delineates what we do when a board member is absent. I will tell you that in my time as in this district, 21 years, I do not recall a resolution taking, as the board bylaw indicates, that we take a resolution forward to continue to pay board members when they are absent. The current board bylaw states that we will reduce their pay by the number of board meetings that they miss on a given month cycle. Yeah. So what I will suggest to you is that I came in this morning and talked to Mr. Schulenberg and asked him to go back to the business office and tell me what the practice is on that side. What do we do? How do we operate? And he indicated that there has not been any board member that has had their pay for board meeting attendance reduced at any time. However, we're going to have to put a process in place because there is an ed code that is also referenced. I believe it's 35-120, and it talks exactly what our board policy says. So even though it's referenced, it is verbatim what is in the ed code. And what it talks about is they can be paid, board members can be paid for an absence if a board resolution is taken for that board member stating they were either performing services for the district during their absence, they were ill, on jury duty, or due to a hardship considered acceptable by the board. Pretty much when I think of the recent situations of absences, they would fall under that category. Even a vacation that was planned prior to taking a seat on a board would be a hardship. So I think we have to put in place a process by which when somebody's absent, we bring a resolution forward to approve the payment based on a hardship or illness or. Okay.
Just to be clear, so my question was not about payment at all. It was more because when we were going through our trainings at the Delegate Assembly, that came up and it was mentioned that anytime a board member was absent, that we should be voting on a resolution. And I've only been on this board for 2 years now, a year and a half. And then we've never done that.
Right.
And so I was unsure about it, and I'd asked her about it like a month ago. I said, hey, are we supposed to be doing this? And she's like, no, I don't think that's in our board policies. And I said, oh, okay. And then I just looked it up and I was like, oh, it is in our board policies.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't sure if legally that was something that we should be including whenever one of us is absent, just to approve it, like, so that we are covered.
Yeah.
But it was not about docking pay in any way.
No, and that's not my goal either. What I would like to do is find a practice that we can get in the rhythm of doing. There's going to be times where a board member is absent that we don't know they're absent until we actually arrive at a board meeting, which means we're not able to post that resolution. So we will either have to do a ratification with a resolution with an approval of a ratification, but we'll put a system in place. So I have documented it clearly that there is an issue there that has not been taking place. And we will move forward with a system that I'll bring back to the board for approval as, it's not something that you have to say, I want this done this way. It's just more of a, what will our system look like? So when Kylie's helping put the agenda together, she will also indicate if there's been an absence that we'll have to have a resolution. So it's just it's a system. And I will be reviewing board bylaws to see if there's other systems we're missing. They come up. So I appreciate knowing that we have some work to do.
So because we have our board meeting now, the second Thursday of each month, we don't get compensated ahead of time, do we?
You
It
aren't.
is the
no.
next month, the
It-
following month.
Yeah,
right?
and likely there would be a problem with even trying to get it done because of the timelines of everything for the resolution. So we will always be after the fact that we would be taking a resolution. And like I said, I believe that in every case, you can demonstrate some hardship that occurred because of, and the board could take a resolution to continue to move
I
forward.
honestly don't see a board ever voting against it.
I don't
but,
either.
I mean, we could be
Right.
wrong.
Just give us all a blanket.
Unless
one.
they
We
didn't
can
show
have
up for
one
like
a
6
month.
months in a row or something crazy.
Yeah, it's just so that we can make sure we're following what we said in our board policy.
Right.
If we said something on a board policy, we need to adhere to it. I've never encountered it, so when she asked me, I was like, I've never seen that, so. All right. Any other item that you would like to put forward for next board meeting in August? Is August, September?
It'll be August.
Yay.
I will be
Okay.
sending out some information regarding some future dates, having to do with some training and some opportunities. So I'll get that out to board members tomorrow. And because tomorrow will be my last day in office for a little bit of time, but I'll be available.
Okay, so the next board meeting will be August 7th, 2024 at 5 p.m. Ed Services, Ed Support Center, Conference Room A, this room. There being no further business to come before the Board of Trustees, it is recommended that the meeting be adjourned. I need a motion.
So moved?
I'll second it. Roll call, Okpara, yes. Raleigh,
Aye.
RC,
Aye.
Buchanan,
Aye.
Bender.
Absent.
We can all vote what he would vote.